Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg.
As you ask.
Yes, welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. Today we're playing a little Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition. Not just because I like to play it, but in fact, I'm in the middle of recording a Let's Play of Baldur's Gate 2, a solo Let's Play. Solo in every meaning of the word. It's just Mangg and it's just one character. I started recording it because I'm doing this gonna be all too loud. Hold on. Lower that for now. I started recording it because of the D&D side series I got going on. You know, Baldur's Gate 2 is one of my favorite games. And it seems like the perfect choice for a D&D based Let's Play. So right now I'm in the the middle of chapter 2. We just run around a bunch, do some side quests until you have enough money to move on. And that's why I'm playing on my own without recording it. So, Mangg, the chubbiest explorer. Well, thank you. That means a lot. Anyways. So you're gonna start seeing some Baldur's Gate 2 videos this week because Star Wars is done with. I finished that game last night. We still have more Disco Elysium. I don't know exactly how much, but that does mean we'll have two CRPGs going on at the same time.
I await your word.
Oi, Mayor, when is this crisis going to be solved, eh?
Aye, me and mine need to get back to herding, we do, for the wolves have gobbled me flock entire.
Calm down, everyone, please. I assure you that everything that can be done is being done.
That's what's happening on this channel. After Disco Elysium is done, I think we'll probably try to do Metroid Prime. I'm going to focus on getting that out there.
I have nothing to wish.
And on the Exploring series, this last week I released a video on the World of Two Artists, which performed as usual. No complaints, I guess. And I released a video on aboleths in D&D, which performed about as well as I'd expect from the second video in a new series. You know, it takes some time for a series to really... Usually like 4 or 5 videos in is where you start to see how well a series is going to do. And the people that did watch that video seem to really like it, so that's good. That's good. I'll be releasing another video, D&D video this week, based on beholders. You know, similar sort of alien creatures, I suppose. Very weird and powerful creatures, you know, like aboleths. I am doing well, yes. Thank you for asking. So, yeah, Beholder should be pretty good. I mean, that's a very iconic D&D monster. And I worked on a video titled More Beneficial SCPs, which features some more beneficial SCPs. To be honest, it's not a very lengthy video. It's like 14 minutes or something. And honestly, it's just like,
It shall be.
there's different types of SCP videos to work on. You know, that depending on the topic, they sort of range in difficulty of researching. You know, when it's just like one SCP, that's real simple. You look at the one article for the one SCP, and you're pretty good. It's just you're summarizing one SCP.
To battle and victory!
And then you have like groups of interest.
Consider it done.
Where, you know, there's usually a hub for that group of interest, and that tells you a bunch about it. And then there's always a list and links to all the other SCPs connected to the group of interest.
I will
And,
do my best.
you know, it takes some time, obviously more than just one article, but it's not too bad. And then you have my sort of trickier concepts, where there's no like central hub or even like beneficial is really tricky because there's not even like a tag. There's no list of beneficial SCPs that I can look at. What is this game? This is Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition. I'll be starting up a Let's Play of it this week. Yes, I have been told I'm a great narrator. Thank you, On Guard. I don't know if it's really true or not, but it's nice to hear. Right, so beneficial SCPs, it's sort of just a narrow definition that I decided upon. And, you know, on the first video, people were like, so don't you just mean Thaumiel SCPs? And no, I don't. I mean, a Thaumiel SCP is, that the definition of Thaumiel is beneficial to the SCP Foundation. That's what it means. My definition of beneficial SCP is just something that is beneficial in general to anyone. Like, you know, the unlimited pizza box, or the infinite pizza box. That's beneficial to anyone. Unless you hate pizza, then I guess. But still. Most of the SCPs that I put in these videos, these beneficial videos, are not Thaumiel. Because that's just sort of a different definition. Obviously, yes, Thaumiel is beneficial to the Foundation, but that's not what I'm referring to here. So there's no list. There's no tags, there's no lists of these beneficial SCPs that are basically just nice to have, that anyone would want to have for the most part. SCP 999 and the Patchwork Bear, and you know, in the more beneficial SCPs video that's coming out tomorrow, I looked at a few more like humanoid SCPs that are just like good and nice and whatever. 4999 is sort of that's what I used as the thumbnail, because a lot of people were like, how could you not mention 4999? So stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, though, it's a lot trickier to do research for, because I basically have to read a lot of SCPs and decide if it fits my definition of beneficial or not. And I was looking at one and I was like, okay, this seems pretty beneficial, and I started like writing it up and putting it in the script, and then I was like, wait a minute. It's close. There are beneficial traits, but it doesn't really fit my definition. And so I have to cut all that out then and go back to the drawing board, and there have been discussions on different on the subreddit and the wiki forums of like nice to have SCPs and good SCPs, and so I sort of look through all those for ideas, but it's not an easy process. So the point is, the video could have easily been longer if I had just given it more time and learned about more of these types of SCPs and read more. But with the holidays going on and working on like the D&D video and stuff, and it's just like, how much time do I really want to invest in this more beneficial SCPs video, when in theory down the line I could just do another even more beneficial SCPs. So that's why it's not an incredibly long video. Yeah, that's what it is. The holidays are getting pretty hectic. I'm feeling a little slammed. Looking forward to just taking a break in January. But for now, we gotta soldier on. The video game awards, or whatever they're calling them nowadays, that happened this week. I didn't watch them. From what I read, it was basically more like just an excuse to have a bunch of trailers and announcements rather than the actual awards meaning anything, which sounds about right. I know that Sekiro won Game of the Year, which is pretty great. That's my Game of the Year. That's always nice to see. I guess, if they had just gone with like the most mainstream pick, it would have been Smash, I assume. Sekiro's not that mainstream, so it's nice that they gave. Obviously, there was some consideration to it. And Disco Elysium won a whole bunch of awards, including Best RPG, which is crazy. And the creators like thanked Marks on stage. You don't get to hear that too often.
Never had breath. No sorry.
And let's see, they announced a new Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance game, which is awesome with 4-player couch co-op. Can't wait to get in on some of that. That could be really cool. And of course, they showed off the new Xbox with a hell of a name. I mean, I don't get. God, fucking. Only Sony does this shit right. It's like, fuck it, just call it the PlayStation 5. Everyone knows it's better than 4. Done. It's simple. No one is making fun of. Oh, they called it the PlayStation 5. Dumbasses. But I don't. Maybe it's the thing of like any press is good press, you know, even if it's making fun of the new Xbox name constantly. It's like, well, people are talking about it. That's good.
Hello.
It's called the Xbox.
You must be new to Innisfail. Is there something I can help you with?
Xbox Series X? Is that what it? I've never actually said it out loud, so I. That's actually what it's called. The Xbox Series X. It's just. I think the jokey name that's being thrown around is the Sex Box. That's what I saw, and I was like, yeah, that works. That's probably what I'll call it. Which is still, it's sort of not right because a sex box would be a lot cooler than this thing. But yeah, it's like, and people are saying they could have just called it like the Xbox 4, but then people would be like, oh, we could get a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox 4. And so then others were like, well, screw it, just call it the Xbox 5 then. Like, who cares if you skip a number? You know, whatever. Just call it the Xbox 5. But then it's like, you're really just being Sony's bitch at that point. So I don't know what they could call it, but it's really just not a good name. Other than that, though, this might be the first console I don't own since the Dreamcast. Not because I think it'll be an especially shitty console or anything, but there's literally
We've had a run of killings and disappearances here as of late.
no incentive for me to purchase this. I mean, like it or not, exclusives are incentives. That's what they are. The Xbox Series X is going to have no exclusives if you own a PC, which I do. And it's like maybe they don't care that I'm playing all their games on PC instead of their new Xbox, their new sex box. Like maybe they don't care that much if hardware sales are down. I don't know how much it must affect it somewhat. I mean, some people speculate that they want to be out of the Xbox industry entirely. They're trying to kill off the Xbox by not having any actual exclusives and by calling it the sex box. It's possible. There's some conspiracy going on here. Hard to say, but it's like I could buy this console, which would be fine, or I could just play it on my high-end computer. There's really no incentive for me to buy it, so I guess that's it. I guess that's it for me in the Xbox Series. It's done.
As you asked.
And I'm not upset about it. I'm very happy I can play everything on my computer. That's awesome. That's exactly what I want. But it's just sort of crazy that they killed off. I mean, they at least in my world, they lost a console sale because of it. Because it's not like it's not like if it had a bunch of actual exclusives only for the Xbox, I wouldn't have a computer. I'd still have the computer, but now it's like, well, I don't need a Xbox. Whereas the PS5 is going to have a whole slew of actual exclusives, and I'm going to, of course, buy a PS5. It also looks kind of stupid. Like, I don't know. You compare it to like the Switch. I guess, I mean, the Switch is obviously going to be way less powerful, but like, look at how compact and, easily you can put the Switch into all sorts of small little nooks and, wherever you need it. You have this box. This is vertical box. It's just, I don't know. I don't care for it. But it's neither here nor there, I suppose. They can do whatever they want. But they lost my money.
It shall be.
Shall be.
Is there something you need?
But moving on then
Consider it done.
to Roll Mangg. Let's talk about that D&D session. It's all about D&D right now. We ended off with Thomas and I at the shipwreck, trying to get these crates of weapons out of the shipwreck. The only consoles you buy are from Nintendo, but you haven't bought the Switch yet. Does not sound like you are much of a console gamer, my friend. I mean, the Switch is, compared to the Wii U, Switch is really pretty incredible that they rebounded from the Wii U so well. I don't spend much time on my Switch because they don't have that many games that interest me, but the stuff I have played on it has been real good. Yeah, so we were at the shipwreck. Gyro's character was on reconnaissance to the north of the village looking for these orcs that are supposedly going to attack our village. And we were training some militiamen and digging a trench and preparing for battle. And last time I had said that our best bet of actually winning this battle against this force of orcs and fire mages was to ambush them, to pretend that the village was abandoned when they arrived, and let them enter into the houses in the village, and then we ambush them and make the fight far more even. What consoles do I have? I mean, I have the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, but not the X. The that's pretty much it that I keep around. I'm not a big console gamer either. Most of my time spent on a console is either like retro Super Nintendo stuff or the PS4 for exclusives. Sometimes the Switch has something that interests me, but not too often. Um, right. So the ambush plan, everybody had pretty much agreed on that, I think, and it was all good. With help from Mert and Baron Dookie at the shipwreck, we fought off this ghost, and we eventually dragged out 3 crates full of weapons, and we broke into the captain's quarters of the shipwreck, where we found some magic boots that allow you to basically like anchor your position against a surface and nothing can move you. So you could anchor yourself to the floor and nothing could move you from that spot or to the wall or to the ceiling or whatever. It has applications generally in a dungeon that I can think of, but I was hoping for something that would help us in this battle, and that is not helpful that I can think of. D&D sessions weird in a good way. Okay. Also in the captain's quarters, there was like this vortex of sand in the ceiling. And I had sent in my consciousness, so I wasn't physically there, my consciousness was there, and I sent him into this vortex of sand. He ended up in this great desert. And I couldn't tell where anything was. It was just a big desert. And so I started walking in like one direction. The actual rules for the shape consciousness are very slim, so it's hard to say exactly what it can or can't do. Ziggy's basically deciding it as we go. But we decided it doesn't really have a range limit, but once I go to sleep, it goes away, which makes sense to me. So I had hoped that we would just like go pull an all-nighter or a couple and hoof it back to town, to the village with these weapons post haste, and in the meantime I could just keep walking this consciousness in this other dimension or whatever. But they wanted to go to rest right away and just camp and wait it out because they were tired, I guess. So I don't know what's in that other dimension. I don't know if, or if it even is another. It could have just been on this planet, some desert. I had no idea. Anyways, so we started making our way back to the village with all these weapons. In the meantime, Gyro's character, the ranger, had been scouting and had come across a recon group of orcs that were heading south towards our village.
You need something, stranger.
And I could not advise her on what to do. Of course, I wanted to. I desperately wanted to. I mean, I get it at this point. At this point in our RPG career, it's clear that I think a little differently than the others. I mean, this is generally why I come up with all the plans. And that's not to say I'm like the best role player or anything like that, but as far as plans go, it's a point of pride that I like coming up with plans. I enjoy the process, and they usually work out, I think. So the plan and how this battle and things were going to take shape was specific. As in, the entire plan hinged on the idea that they thought this village was defenseless, and they were going to come in and they were going to find it empty and abandoned. If they learned otherwise in any way, the plan falls apart. And so I needed to sort of specifically explain that to her. I hadn't counted on... She did all right. She didn't attack the group of orcs on her own, which was good. And she went back to town right away, which was good. These were good things. What I didn't count on, though, was us not being there when she got back to town. Meaning that I still could not advise her or anything like that. I wasn't there. My character was not physically there. So there was really, at that point, only one course of action that could salvage the plan. Because we couldn't actually evacuate the town. I mean, maybe we could, but that's a little tricky. The only course of action that would allow us to go along with the ambush was if the militiamen stop training, they stop digging the trench, all that stuff, and they just like go about their normal business in town. And they pretend like it's just business as usual. They have no idea of some orcs investigating them and attacking them, blah, blah, blah. I mean, in my mind, this probably also entailed some of the men dressing up as women to cover the fact that all the women and children were gone. Perhaps that wouldn't be necessary. I don't know if Ziggy would actually think of that or not, but in my mind, that's probably what I would have done if I was there. Pretty much any other course of action results in the enemies knowing that we are preparing for an attack, or we are ready for an attack, or anything like that, and then we can't go along with the ambush. It just wouldn't make sense for us to like be preparing a whole militia and then we suddenly abandon the town. They would suspect something is up. They wouldn't even go into they'd probably lay siege to the town. You know, they'd launch fireballs in or whatever, and it would just be horrendous. So this includes, of course, letting the orcs, the recon group, see that we're training the militia. This also includes attacking the recon group, which is what she ended up doing. She took a group of guards out there to slay the orcs. Now, one of the orcs got away. She killed, like, most of the orcs. One of them got away. She captured one. It actually does not matter that one got away or if they all died. It's the same difference. If they find out that the recon group is gone, didn't return, it's the same difference as if one comes back and says they were attacked. So it doesn't actually matter if she let one escape. The damage was done. So as soon as I heard that she was going out there with a group of guards, I was like, okay, we have to flee. We have to evacuate the town completely. The whole plan is done. So our characters made it back to the village. We heard about what happened, and I explained to the council exactly what I just explained to you. And we have to flee the town. And they understood. They realized my logic. And it's not like, I mean, look, like Gyro and what she did is perfectly reasonable. That's what I would expect most people to do, is just like, oh, let's go slay the recon group. But that's sort of what I'm saying, is that I just think about plans differently. Not to say it's better or worse. I'm sure a lot of groups don't. A lot of groups probably would just go along with things and just kill the orcs and that's sort of thing. Is like if I was just playing normally and it's just like, yeah, let's prepare a militia and let's have a big battle and fight it out. And it's like, yeah, maybe that would probably work. I mean, probably we wouldn't die and it'd be a big battle. It's just the thing. I like to be. I guess I like to be clever. There you have it. I like to be clever. I like to come up with the best plan, not just a plan. Um,
Dangerous mistake.
Hello there.
so, anyways, the town was evacuated completely. They all went south to Blue Cape. And Gyro, while spying on those orcs, had overheard them talking about how they were building ships. They had slaves building ships, and they were going to use the ships to sail south to the great city, which is Blue Cape. I mean, unquestionably. So we were sending all these refugees from our village to this town that the orcs were planning to launch a great raid on, which is not good. And so I was like, okay, let's send everyone to Blue Cape, and then let us find these ships that these orcs are building and sink them. Let's burn them down. Which isn't like a total solution. Obviously, we're just delaying some sort of inevitability. We have to deal with this whole orc army and all these who's ever controlling it all. But it gives Blue Cape more time to prepare. And so we had to figure out where these ships were being built. But luckily, Gyro had managed to capture one of these orcs. So we went in there to interrogate it. Physical torture wasn't seeming to really work too well. It wasn't afraid to die or anything like that, I guess.
You need something, stranger.
Or it wasn't afraid of pain. So my character and Mert's character are both capable of telepathy. So we basically went in there and just bombarded his mind with telepathy. And we sort of convinced it that our voices in its head were its like conscience. And that telling these people what it knew about where these ships were being built was the only way that it would survive. It was the right thing to do. And we had to roll, of course, to see how well it worked, and we rolled pretty damn well. We both rolled like a 25. So, in the end, it worked. He told us what it knew about where these ships were being built. And it also said that they were working for a Dark Lord, of course. And that the Dark Lord was using 4 different portals to bring in legions of forces from different places. So now we know where the ships are, but we have to deal with some Dark Lord and these 4 portals bringing in all sorts of bullshit. And so our group departed north to go deal with Mordor and Sauron and all these evil things. And it sort of has me concerned in a bit of a metagame sense. It's not like... it's not like we're slowly discovering this great evil that exists in the land that's that's permeating the countryside, and we're dealing with like bands of orcs, you know, rogue bands of orcs and goblins and kobolds and stuff. We are literally heading to fucking like Mount Doom at level 3. And I'm real concerned that there's going to be something close to a TPK that's going to send whoever survives scrambling out. And then I'm not really sure what to do. The whole thing is sort of unusual for Ziggy, because in the past in D&D he's built up slowly this big great evil, where this was our like 4th session, and he's like, oh yeah, there's a Dark Lord to the north, go get him. I don't know really how to take that. I mean, I don't know if it's metagaming for a character to think that they are not prepared for the Dark Lord. But there's such a sense of urgency. I mean, these forces are gathering. They're launching attacks on villages. They're planning an attack on the great city of Blue Cape. I mean, there's a real sense of urgency. It's not like we can just say, like, oh, well, we should wander the countryside for a while and maybe find some magic items and get more power. Like, we can't do that. For all intents and purposes, we are the only individuals that are standing at the fiery gates to stop this Dark Lord. And that concerns me. Because either the Dark Lord in this whole place is not as powerful as it should be, or we're really going to get our asses handed to us. I don't know. That's where we stand, though. It's been a fun campaign so far. Obviously, marching into Mordor at level 3 presents a great challenge, and I do enjoy great challenges. So, and I think Ziggy knows that, so perhaps he's ready to really throw something tricky at me.
Consider it done.
We'll see. I don't, none of us really feel that powerful, though, so...
More cowled ones are their servants, no doubt. By the gods, I swear you'll not live to take me to that damnable sphere.
It's going to require some very clever plans, I think. Yeah, I guess that's it. Not a whole lot to say. Yeah, that'll do it. So check out more beneficial SCPs tomorrow. Video on Beholders later this week. More Disco Elysium this week. And the start of Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition, which should be pretty interesting. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.